All right, let's get right into it. We are heading back to 1966 to a quiet little suburb in Melbourne, Australia, for a story that has become one of the country's biggest unsolved mysteries. We're talking about a school, hundreds of witnesses, and an official wall of silence that's been standing for over 60 years. This is the Westall Incident. And this quote right here from one of the witnesses, Joy Clark, it just cuts right to the heart of this whole thing. See, these witnesses, they were just kids back then, but their stories, they haven't changed one bit. For them, this wasn't some myth or a legend. It was absolutely real. And we're not talking about one or two people who saw something weird. No. We are talking about an entire school community. More than 300 students and their teachers all watching the exact same bizarre event unfold in the middle of the day. The sheer number of people makes this incredibly hard to just, sweep under the rug. So let's go back. Let's set the scene. The date is April 6th, 1966. It's an ordinary Wednesday morning at Westall High School. The bell is about to ring for recess. It was a completely normal school day right up until the moment it wasn't.
It all happened so fast. At 11 a.m., this silver disk just appears in the sky. 5 minutes later, it's total chaos as pretty much the entire school rushes out onto the oval to see what's going on. Then these small planes show up, almost like they're trying to chase the thing. And by 11:20, the object drops down behind some trees and dozens of kids just bolt, jumping the fence to chase after it. An absolutely wild 20 minutes.
So what did they actually see? Well, the crazy thing is, all the kids were describing the same thing. They said it was a metallic saucer-shaped object, maybe twice the size of a family car, and it didn't roar like a jet engine. It just gave off this low humming sound. No wings, no tail, nothing that looked like any plane they'd ever seen. And then there was the way it moved. Witnesses say it could just hang there in the air, perfectly still, and then boom, accelerate to insane speeds in a split second. It would shoot straight up or make these sharp zigzag turns. I mean, no aircraft in 1966 could do that. Heck, nothing today can pull off maneuvers like that without making a sound or having some visible way of pushing itself.
But the mystery wasn't just up in the sky. The kids who actually made it over the fence to the landing spot, an area they called the Grange, they didn't find the craft, but they found something else. They found physical proof. A huge circular impression in the grass, all flattened down in a swirl pattern, like something heavy had just been sitting there. It had left its mark.
So you think, right? Hundreds of witnesses, a physical trace left on the ground. You would expect a massive investigation. But what happened next was the exact opposite. Instead of getting answers, the witnesses were hit with a fast and honestly kind of scary effort to bury the whole story. The clampdown was immediate. The headmaster calls a special assembly and basically threatens all the students, telling them not to talk to the press. Then, almost instantly, military vehicles and men in dark suits show up on school grounds, pulling kids and teachers aside for questioning. And get this, a TV news crew actually filmed a report that day, but the footage vanished. All that's left in the station's archive is an empty film canister labeled Westall. And this wasn't just about scaring a bunch of kids. This is what they told Andrew Greenwood, the science teacher, when they came to his house. He was a credible adult witness, and they told him he was drunk, that he didn't see a thing, and that if he kept talking about it, he'd lose his job. Which really brings us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? The unofficial excuse that got floated around was that it was just a weather balloon. But if that's all it was, why threaten a teacher? Why bring in the military? Why go to such extreme lengths to shut everybody up? Okay, so for decades now, researchers and the witnesses themselves have been trying to piece it all together. If it wasn't a flying saucer from another planet, what else could possibly explain what happened that day? Let's just put these two side by side for a second. The official story, a weather balloon. But the witness accounts describe something that made controlled movements, played cat and mouse with planes, and shot off at impossible speeds without a sound. A weather balloon just drifts. The two stories just don't add up, at all. But there is another theory, and it's pretty compelling. You have to remember, this was the peak of the Cold War, and the school happened to be right near government aircraft factories and research labs. We now know there was a top-secret American and Australian program called Highball happening at the time, testing experimental high-altitude craft. Now, if one of those secret prototypes went off course and came down near a high school,
Well, that would absolutely explain the immediate, heavy-handed response. The top priority would be to grab the tech and make sure nobody talked.
So, what we're left with is this incredible witness testimony, pretty clear evidence of a cover up, and a plausible military explanation that's never been proven. And after all this time, the Westall Incident officially remains a total mystery.
60. For 60 years, the Australian government has offered zero official explanation for what happened over Westall. No report has ever been declassified. No real investigation has ever been acknowledged. Just 6 decades of complete silence. And this quote from another witness, Tanya Vasi, just brings it all back home. For the people who were there, this isn't about fame or some crazy story. It's just a simple human need for an answer. After all this time, all they really want is to know what it was they saw that day. So what was it? An experimental military craft gone astray? A weather balloon that somehow defied the laws of physics? Or was it something else entirely? A secret can't be kept forever, but this one has come pretty darn close. After 60 years, the mystery of what those 300 people saw over Westall is still just that, a mystery.